Have you ever like woken up right before your alarm goes off?
It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like almost like, you have like a sixth sense or something.
Yeah, you think you're psychic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into like the science behind this and, explore this whole world of our internal clock or what they call the circadian rhythm.
I think a lot of people have that experience and just kind of think, that's interesting, and never really think about like what's actually going on.
Yeah, so let's unpack it. I mean, I've always been like an alarm clock person.
Yeah.
I need that alarm to wake me up. Does that mean that I've been neglecting my internal clock this whole time?
Well, not necessarily. Everybody's a little bit different in terms of how sensitive they are to their circadian rhythm. But what happens is when you stick to a consistent wake up time, your brain actually starts to anticipate it.
Okay.
And it starts releasing hormones like cortisol to kind of like gradually ease you out of sleep.
So it's like my brain like knows what time it is even when I'm asleep.
In a way, yes, there's a dedicated region in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN, and it's basically the control center for your circadian rhythm.
The SCN, all right, so this SCN is like the mastermind behind my sleep-wake cycle.
Exactly. It's really sensitive to light. So, like, the moment your eyes perceive light, the SCN kicks into gear and it's like, all right, time to wake up, time to be alert.
Okay, that makes sense. But then how does this explain waking up before the alarm?
It's all about anticipation. If you consistently wake up at 7 a.m. every day, your SCN starts preparing your body in advance.
Okay.
Kind of like a runner getting ready for a race, right? They don't just like take off at the starting pistol. They're warming up, they're stretching, they're getting in the zone.
So my body's doing like warm-up stretches for waking up.
Yeah, exactly. And your brain is preloading those wake up hormones so that it ensures a smooth transition out of sleep sometimes, even before that alarm has a chance to go off.
Well, that explains why sometimes I wake up and I feel great and other times I wake up and I'm like, why do I feel so groggy?
Yeah, exactly. If you're jolted awake in the middle of like a deep sleep phase, you're going to feel a lot more groggy than if your brain had kind of like naturally eased you out of lighter sleep stages.
So when I wake up and I feel awesome, that means my circadian rhythm is like, right on point.
You got it.
That's good to know. But what about those times when our sleep schedules are kind of all over the place, like when we travel or, those of us who do shift work?
Yeah, jet lag and shift work are kind of like the ultimate circadian rhythm disruptors.
Okay.
It's like imagine, your internal clock is set to like Pacific time and then suddenly you're dropped into Eastern time.
Yeah.
It takes a while for your body to adjust.
So like our bodies are like finely tuned instruments. And then, these sudden changes just kind of throw off the harmony.
A perfect analogy. And jet lag and shift work, they really mess with your SCN settings, so you might have trouble falling asleep, you might feel really tired during the day, just generally groggy.
I can definitely relate to that feeling of being out of sync after a long flight. So how do we minimize like, the impacts of these disruptions besides, obviously avoiding travel and shift work altogether, which isn't really an option for a lot of people.
Well, light exposure is a really big one. Like getting sunlight, especially in the morning, can really help reset your internal clock.
Okay.
It's like hitting the reset button on your SCN, telling it, hey, this is the new daytime, let's get in sync.
So soaking up some sunshine can like realign our internal clocks.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, dimming the lights in the evening is really important too, especially the blue light that comes from our devices
Oh yeah.
that can suppress melatonin production, which is a hormone that's essential for a good night's sleep.
Right. The infamous blue light. So hard to resist those like late night scrolls on social media.
I know it's a struggle, but even small changes like using blue light filters or, just putting your phone away an hour before bed can really make a difference.
This is all really good advice. But I'm curious, are there people out there who just like have this mastered, they can just wake up at the exact time they want without an alarm?
There are some pretty fascinating cases of individuals like monks and soldiers who have actually trained themselves to wake up at precise times using visualization techniques.
But seriously, like they can just like decide when they want to wake up and their body just like obeys.
Yeah, they focus really intently on the desired wake up time before falling asleep, almost like setting an internal alarm clock.
That's incredible. Like, how do they do that?
Well, it just goes to show the power of the mind body connection and how much we still don't know about the brain's potential.
That's mind blowing to think that we might have this like untapped ability to control our sleep wake cycle just through mental focus.
It really speaks to how complex and adaptable our bodies are. And it's not just biology, it's like this interplay between our minds, our behaviors, and our environment.
This has been so enlightening. It's like finally understanding, the secret language of my own body clock. So for our listeners who want to start tapping into their own internal timekeeper, What's like the first step?
The most important thing is consistency. Try to go to bed and wake up around the same time every day, even on the weekends.
Okay.
It's like setting a foundation for a well-structured house. Everything else builds on that stability.
So consistency is key. And of course, managing light exposure, especially those blue lights at night.
Mhm.
What else can we do to like optimize our sleep environment?
Mhm.
And besides like, investing in blackout curtains and earplugs, which I've already done.
Those are great starting points, but beyond the physical environment, creating a relaxing bedtime routine is also really helpful.
Okay.
It signals to your body that it's time to wind down and prepare for sleep.
Like taking a warm bath or reading a book or listening to calming music.
Exactly. All those things help to kind of shift your mind and body from the busyness of the day to a more tranquil state, making it easier to fall asleep and stay asleep.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I'm finally, starting to understand the power of my own internal clock and how to like work with it instead of against it.
It's a journey, not a destination, right?
You,
Even small changes can make a big difference over time.
small changes, big impact.
So, it's amazing how much we're still learning about the circadian rhythm. Like, did you know that even our alarm sounds interact with our internal clock?
I've heard something about the like our bodies can like learn to recognize an alarm sound. Is that true?
Yeah, like if you use the same alarm sound consistently, your brain starts to associate it with waking up. It's like a conditioned response.
Oh, wow. So instead of like drooling at a bell, we're like prepped for waking up, the sound of that annoying beeping. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a great question. And it's something that researchers are still kind of exploring. While alarms are super useful, especially in our, modern world, there's definitely something to be said for nurturing our own natural wake up abilities.
So how do we strike like a balance there? I mean, I don't want to ditch my alarm completely and risk oversleeping, but I also don't want to be like completely dependent on it.
It's all about finding what works for you. Maybe experiment with like shifting your alarm a little bit earlier and allowing your body to wake up naturally a couple of times a week. Or you could try using a gentler sound, something that's not so jarring.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that like certain alarm sounds just make me feel more stressed than others.
Absolutely. The sound we wake up to can really impact our mood, for the rest of the day.
So we've talked about how our bodies anticipate waking up naturally. We've talked about alarm sounds. What about other things that affect our circadian rhythm? I know we touched on light before, but what about like diet and exercise?
Those play a role too. Regular exercise, especially in the morning or afternoon, can help regulate your circadian rhythm and promote better sleep. And then when it comes to diet, what you eat and when you eat, it can also have an influence.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've noticed that if I have like a really heavy meal late at night, it can mess with my sleep.
It's all about timing. Give your body a chance to digest before you go to bed.
So it's like this whole like symphony of factors that are working together to keep our circadian rhythm on track. We've got light exposure, we've got sleep schedules, alarm sounds, exercise diet. It's kind of a lot.
It can feel overwhelming,
Yeah.
but the key is to just focus on small changes. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight.
Right. Small changes, big impact. So what's like one small change that our listeners can make like today to start, improving their relationship with their circadian rhythm?
I would say pay attention to your evening routine. What are you doing in those couple of hours before bed? Create a wind down ritual that helps signal to your body that it's time to sleep, like dimming the lights, taking a warm bath, reading a book, listening to calming music.
And putting away those devices with the blue light?
Exactly. Create a tech-free zone in your bedroom. Sleep is so important for your body to rest and repair and recharge.
Well said. This
Yeah.
has been such a fascinating discussion. It's amazing to think that something as simple as, waking up before your alarm can unlock so much knowledge about our bodies.
It really is. And the more we learn about our circadian rhythm, the more we appreciate just how amazing and resilient our bodies are.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, what's like the one key takeaway you want listeners to remember?
Listen to your body, pay attention to how you feel when you wake up, how your energy levels are throughout the day, what things seem to impact your sleep. The more attuned you are to those things, the better choices you can make for your health.
Such an important reminder. We're not machines.
Yeah.
We're these complex beings with unique needs and rhythms.
It's been great exploring this topic with you.
Thank you for being here. And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the science behind your body's natural rhythms.
Remember, your body is incredibly intelligent. By understanding its natural rhythms, you can really unlock your full potential.
So stay curious, keep exploring, and sweet dreams.
Until next time.